In this episode, we've got Johanna Sjölin, which is the marketing director of Avidly HubSpot Solutions. She's the queen of keeping customers happy. Her relationships with the clients is just next level. So we're going to want to pick her brain on how to succeed with that and how come most people don't get it.
How are we doing, Johanna?
Doing good. I mean, after that presentation, can't complain. No, doing really good. Sun is shining here in Stockholm today. Office is crowded. So, yeah.
I'm not in the office though.
I like having humans around me.
I thought it was snowing today.
Yeah, a little mix.
Okay.
A little snowing, a little sun.
Your version of, it's nice and it's sunny today is
Glass is
shut
half
down
full. Yeah.
in the UK. So, good to know. Once again, the weather experts showing us how it's done. Cool, yeah, we're here to talk about basically keeping customers happy, Josie, right?
Yeah. So just start with what's the baseline of how come you've got such amazing relationships with all your clients? What's the
secret recipe?
yes?
Well, I would say it's a mix of good strategy and a large portion of empathy. I mean, you need to really care about your clients. You need to really be interesting in them as humans, but also you need to have a really large portion to on being professional as well. You cannot just come in and be a fun person, inviting them to birthday parties or music festivals, as I tend to do once in a while. You also need to be good at what you're doing. It all starts there, I would say.
So how long does it take until you're ready to invite them to a birthday party?
Uh, Not too long, I would say. I mean,
Do you have
Do you
like
have-
the Johanna formula that you can like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
it's approximately 3.5 months.
this is a typical thing I wouldn't add to my CRM and then, have like a workflow that ping me that now this person is ready to be invited to your birthday party. I would rather go for like my gut feeling on this. But you need to start off with building trust. I'm a big advocate of creating soft goals always, not just hard KPIs with your client. You need to understand, for example, I work a lot with CMOs, understanding that their goals, pleasure and pain, like not only goals. For example, I had one CMO last year. Her goal was, or her salary was based on a commission or getting a bonus if she reached this amount of leads and also this amounts of event attendees. So that was our biggest focus. Another super typical soft goal is for a CMO to be able to show numbers to the board. The board doesn't know what numbers they want to see. They just want to see that the marketing creates ROI. Yeah. So understanding that, helping the client reach their bonus is also a big part of building trust.
How would you, or what would you class as more of a firm goal or a KPI? Because those are still like number targets at the end of the day, those ones, aren't they?
They're number
what-
targets, but when you're framing it as a soft goal, you're understanding the milestones you need to take to get there. And also it's a lot part of how you communicate directly to that person. Like, we need to do this and that because of that. You build a mutual trust, you have the mutual interest, so to
Nice.
speak.
It's a bit of the why
not
behind it
only-
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So a blend of strategy and empathy, I would say.
Why does it matter to set the soft goals is a way of connecting with your customer, I think, and it's more interesting, and it's better to buy into, like, well, if you get that bonus, you get to take your family on holiday that you wanted to do earlier than planned without having to save up, etc., etc. You can find ways to make the metrics more enticing. But why else do you strike a connection with your customers, and why do you believe that that's important for people to do and not just treat it as a transaction, which it still is, but making it more than that?
Exactly. It is still a transaction, but dressed like in a soft goal, and it creates discussions during our calls, like how can the client can ask me, how can I approach this and that person in my organization to show this or that, because they know that we're working towards the same goal. But I'm referring to Simon Sinek every once in a while with his, graph where he shows that trust outperforms performance when he worked closely with the Navy SEALs to understand how they pick out the top team, where they show that if you can't trust a person, then performance wouldn't mean that much because they can fail you anytime. Whereas if you have trust also, that will be outperforming the performance. Not meaning that I started up this call with highlighting that you need to be a professional as well, that it all starts with you being, with you knowing your stuff, so to speak. It's most important.
And you're a living example of that. I think you have a very unique balance of the just right amount of personality and about being personal with your clients, while still delivering value, being realistic, strategic, and understanding all of those things. I think many people find it very difficult to do that, because it's either, especially in a B2B setting, like you're very professional, very strict, and it could also become a bit like strange when you're trying to be very personal, and then it's then that can be an HR disaster or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So how does one find the perfect balance of that? I mean, where to go?
How do I know who to not invite to my birthday party? I mean, when you are in this beginning of working with a new client and you're creating this trust and deepening the relationship, you need to work a lot with asking questions, asking for their advice as well, to create this, they feel important, and that creates like a stronger relationship, stronger trust. That can happen pretty early on in a relationship, I would say, to build this, like they feel important to me and I feel important to them. And then after that, you notice, or I notice that, hey, let's connect on, for example, I did a confession on LinkedIn that I said that I confess I do talk business, for example, with my clients on Instagram DMs. Because, when you start to strengthen your relationship, it's easier to then just come up with a question like, hi, what's your name on Instagram? What's your weekend plans? You're talking more about other stuff than just that specific transaction or goal.
What do you do if a client isn't, or your point of contact at a client isn't feeling that, and the vibes are very much
corporate?
All the negative connotations of that, or just really business focused, like.
They're different persons. So one is, it's not uncommon that when we're having meetings and other people are in the meetings also from their company, or for example, when we write emails and we know we have a lot of important persons on CC, then there's one language. But then if we have just like a one-on-one check-in, it could be much more non-formal. And I think that creates a lot of trust as well.
Definitely, that creates a strong relationship.
As a team lead as well, there's times where you've done a lot more client facing management than I have, and client management than I have, with my role being more internal. But I've done a lot of line management, and I can see some of the same challenges coming up around blurring the lines of, because we're essentially the client's employee as an agency. They're paying us to do a job, aren't they? Have you got any guidance that you, or guardrails that you could share to stop, say, perhaps someone trying to be more holistic with their client management? Have you got any guardrails to sort of some hard lines that are like, no, that's a sign that things have left the professionalism behind? Because, like you said at the start, that needs to underpin everything. You do need to be prepared. You need to be doing a good job. That's like a non-negotiable. So, what are the guardrails for perhaps new account managers or new account directors who are wanting to have all the fun things and not stop them going too far and, burning bridges by accident?
I think it's a lot about having emotional intelligence and really read the room and read the person you're speaking to. Having great communication skills, like for example, there's an approach called feel, felt, found, which means that you acknowledge the feelings of the person you're talking to, you share similar experiences, and then you present like the solutions or findings from that experience. That can make the person feel like you build trust, you show that you have experience and that you're listening to them, and the person you're speaking to might even feel somehow that they're part of the solution since they have the same feelings. So with that said, it's a lot about communication skills and emotional intelligence, and same goes with like if you're need to share negative feedback, constructive feedback, or any tough discussions, you can share that also through like a third-party story.
What do you mean?
Yeah, but for example, if there's constructive feedback you need to share with the client, you don't want to blame them, you don't want to put them in an awkward position or hurt their ego. So delivering the constructive feedback as a third-party story, this happened to me before, or a fictional story, is much more soft to the client, and they feel still respected, because mutual respect is really important to not hurt any relationship.
Prepping for this episode, it made me think a lot when we were typing the notes up around customer relationship and building trust, and these are things we do in like romantic and friendship, platonic relationships as well. What's the impact of your working week when you're treating client relationships this way? Because when they're in a good place, I imagine it's really good.
Yeah, I can get a text like, hey, I haven't heard from you for a while. Why? Or a lot of DMs and and Instagram memes. That's every day from clients. And I mean, my clients are often C-level, high professionals, so it's not like they're still humans. And having that relationship on that level, I value really high. So my day-to-day work is like hanging out with friends, I would say. That's how it affects the day-to-day life.
Nice. Yeah. It doesn't feel like work then, Josie, does it? So, no. Like, that's one of the things we enjoy in our team, sort of. You can just... It's not all work. Everything you talk about not being work, I think, just makes a big difference. I think, what do you reckon, both of you? Sort of, that's like... I feel like that's kind of expected now, and it feels weird when people do be just to work. Or is that just me?
I think Johanna has found like the little key to how to act like professionally and still be relationship building, human and personal with everyone, like both colleagues and clients. And I think that
is that Kenzo?
Yeah, he's in the background. Sorry, he's eating. It's not me. Yeah, he's a. I
He's
have a
not
little
coming
bug.
on. He's ran off now, has he?
Yeah, he's busy eating. But yeah, I think that it's like I think many people still struggle with that balance. And I think it's difficult to just, if you're not naturally a sociable person, or if you're not naturally, I don't want to say people are not naturally emotionally intelligent, like unintelligent, but some people struggle with that. If you don't like, if you're very business focused, very, up in your spreadsheets, all that, it's very easy to say something blunt to a client and go like, no, this is, hello, 1 plus 1 is 2. You're in the wrong. But whilst putting your ego aside and comforting the client like a first hand, and they come first, the business will follow, like all the sales and everything. Like wouldn't I wouldn't want to do a retainer with a company that would be very like a square shaped, it's all pre-decided, like what things are like. I would want them to be flexible for me, and I think that's what Johanna delivers.
How do you find the time as a strategist, or in our case, you're a strategist, but if you're managing client accounts, how do how do you find the time to sort of make room for building the trust and the empathy and the relationship side of working together with your customers?
I'd say it's all about seeing every touch point and every type of connection as an opportunity to build these win-win connections and win-win outcomes, mutual success. That's the key here.
I guess not. That takes me to some theory, or not even theory, but sort of advice I really enjoyed years ago around how every interaction with your customers is a negotiation. And if you can turn that everything into, you can do it two ways. You can go a really cold-hearted commercial way, which is like they have to fight for everything and feel like I'm giving them something every time, like I don't know, they ask for a meeting at 3 o'clock and I'm free, but I say let's do it at 3:15. Or you can do it in a softer way, which is more sort of what you were saying around reframing the same revenue goal as a soft goal, and sort of, yeah, I can do it then, and I'd like to, rather than just turning up, but letting them know that you'd like to meet at 3 o'clock as well, and great news that I'm free. It's like it's an added bonus. It's kind of flipped the negotiation on its head in that circumstance. But every little thing, like you say, can be an opportunity to build that relationship when it's their latest idea, or their boss has come to them and asks them to do something for you, and you're helping them stay on track with the bigger goal. And that's always going to be an opportunity to build trust with you, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, as you say, you can use exactly all of these tactics, if you call them tactics, but the skills, the emotional intelligence, the communication strategies to actually, as you said, negotiate. Strategic partnerships, upsell and growth dressed in strategic partnerships, I would say. That's what I wanted to say. So negotiations, also I'm the oldest one of 4 siblings, and I have thousands of cousins, and I'm the oldest one. I'm used to doing these tactics also within my family. So, and also I have 2 kids, so speaking with them, making them feel trusted, important, and how I phrase things and ideas undercovered as their ideas, but they're really my ideas. That's also
I was going to ask how you stay on top of things. Like, I was trying to loosely find some connections to a CRM, but how you stay on top of things like when this is happening, when it's their birthday, with the softer side, when is it like their kid's birthday and things like this. But I imagine from what you're saying, it's more just you don't view them as a work contact. They're just somebody you know in your network, so it'll just be natural of, oh, how did it
Yeah,
go at
I will
weekend?
know if my client goes to the Alps over the weekend, and then I can ask them the Monday after, like, how was.
Because you're actually interested.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have you ever been on calls where it's some sales rep and they come on and go like, "Hi, Johanna. So it's been a long time since we last met. How is the conservatory coming along that you're building?" Checking
Yeah.
the CRM notes.
Exactly. No, I mean, that wouldn't make sense.
Absolutely not.
It's not about that. Then you're not succeeding.
Do you think pairing, thinking of our perhaps sales team listeners, do you think pairing sort of reps and client managers with personalities, have you ever come across that, like deliberately going, they'd be a really good fit, like go and make a success of that together?
Yeah, definitely. That's also something that's always on in the back of my head. Like, these two people should meet, or these two ideas should merge into one bigger idea, and so on. That's always on.
Yeah, I think otherwise it becomes a job again, doesn't it? And it
Exactly.
becomes too transactional.
Why do you think that so many others find this so difficult? Like, what's when you look at others, obviously don't name names, but when you look at other companies or meet people, networking, and you're like, okay, interesting. I mean, I'm sure you reflect on these things and like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. Why do you think so many people struggle with actually creating good customer relationships and like strong relationships?
I mean, you need to also be a little bit brave or crazy. I mean, I said that first of all, you need to be a effing pro in what you do, and then you need to build this relationship, and that is a skill that you can somewhat learn, like how to communicate with the clients and how to focus on soft goals and so on. But then you also need to be likable and creative and personal, and that is like, do I dare to show that part of myself? Do I dare to ask them for their Instagram account? Do I dare to ask like the CEO of our enterprise sized account for, ask them if they want to come to my party, for
I
example?
think daring to be honest is part of that as well.
Yeah.
So sort of when you think of new people managing customers for the first time, whatever industry this is in, I'm thinking back to previous roles, and you can if people try and bullshit their way through, their customer sees through it, and then the trust is gone. So
Yeah.
you're immediately, or your results have to be up here then all the time. Your performance has to be up here all the time because they don't trust you. And even if your results are there all the time, you're hitting all your deadlines, you're only one fuck up away from, do you know what, this is more hassle than it's worth.
Yeah.
But there's a benefit you've not mentioned, I think, around that trust being there. Everybody's human, everybody makes mistakes. Avidly makes mistakes, every other HubSpot partner does, every software does, they do a bad product release, whatever. But when you got that human connection, there's something to fall back on of, I don't know, I'm thinking of happy customers in the past who you mess up for, and then they're like, no, don't worry about it, I probably contributed, I should have let you know about this, and it's like good friends, isn't it, rather than...
Yeah, we tried this, that didn't work. I mean, you need to own the mistakes as well, and the situation. And then it's really important to remind yourself that consistency is key here. I've also been like working on clients longer term relationships, and then it cannot turn into too much fun and crazy stuff. It needs to also continue bring value and being a professional and talk about strategy and growth. So consistency is key.
Do you have any advice or things that you do or see people doing that helps turn their customers into advocates that shout about them?
I can sometimes, like in the beginning of a new collaboration, I can sometimes I feel like this can turn into a good business case. Then I say that directly to the client. I have a feeling this can be really good, and I would love to create a business case. So let's document everything we do now, and let's focus on building a really good case together, and that sets the standard, that builds reports and relationship from the beginning, and that is a really good tip. Same can go for we're building a new website for a client, and I feel like, hey, this is such a beautiful website, so as soon as we go live, I would like to shout that out to the world. Is that okay with you? So I already create that shout out for LinkedIn, for example, beforehand. I think 3 website launches 2023, because that was when I last worked with websites, resulted in a cake sent to me from the client that had also the design on the top of it. So we're jokingly about Örjan creating, or one of our designers creating cake responsive design.
Nice.
Yeah, so setting the expectations, and not be afraid to set high expectations from the beginning, because that kind of expectations you can set, let's aim for a really good business case.
And stating it openly. I think if you're in sales and marketing, getting your client facing side, or your client managers, your customer facing roles comfy with saying, we want to shout about you here, we think this is going to be something special, and then letting in sales and marketing that there's an upcoming case study.
Yeah, because with that you show that you're really proud of what you're doing, and you're really going to put an effort on this. That creates the right expectations from the clients from the beginning.
So you need both the professionalism, and you need to know your shit and be good at what you do. And you can be that, but if you don't have the fundamental muscle to build good customer relationships and actually care about the client, they're not gonna retain, come back, be happy. And if you only have the good, strong relationships, but you're not really good at what you do, they're probably also not going to come back. So you really need both.
Yeah, that's true. I really like what you said as well, to get to that place, reframing KPIs and hard goals, unlocking what is it about them that it actually helps. Is it enjoyment? Is it pride in hitting that number, as simple as that? Or is it a knock-on effect that it unlocks this growth or a bonus, and then that unlocks this thing personally? And then it's a lot more interesting to talk about how close we are to getting that extra holiday or taking the kids to Disneyland than it is, we're 84% towards this year's revenue target. It is for me anyway.
And also don't forget that consistency is key. If I should use the CRM for one thing, I would like to score professional input versus fun input, and then see, because it's a balance really. You cannot fall into the fun trap, because that relationship will only fade away.
So how would you use your CRM to do that?
Lead scoring? No, I don't know. I'm sure we can come up with a custom property.
Do you do things like with, when, I know you're leading the team now, but sort of, I don't know, some sort of vibe check metric with your customer. So we do it internally. We follow EOS model. We do L10s as teams, and we start those team meetings with just where's everybody's mood at. If just maybe last one, have you got any? Have you ever had any sort of metric like that with a client, that it's not finance related, it's not to do with deadlines, it's just how are we feeling that this is going?
Yes, I mean, I can document that myself, but it's not like I cannot measure it in my CRM. That's a gut feeling. I need to feel like the vibe during the call.
Mm-hmm.
You need emotional intelligence.
Keeping that on your radar.
Yeah.
Maybe give them a bit of extra love next week, because they're needing it, and that's just...
Exactly.
It's a big part of its feelings. Josie, have we hit everything that we were thinking? It looks like it.
I think so. Just on the last note, you were the You and Therese Zetterlund were one of the speakers at Avidy Activate, which is an event that we hosted in the UK end of 2024. And you spoke a lot about human authenticity, your favorite word.
Yes, favorite word.
Is there anything on there that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, what we spoke about was human authenticity, it's corporate BS for breakfast. And what we mean with that is that if you only do trying to be a professional all the time, you miss out on so many opportunities to build trust and stronger relationship and strategic partnerships. If you miss out on the being likable, being creative, being personal, the emotional intelligence. So you need to be human, you need to be present, be yourself.
Well said.
Try and do that next week if you feel like you're missing something here and what Johanna's saying resonates with you. Next time you're speaking to your customers or your customer service team is why not try being a little bit more human and a little bit more open to building not just a professional relationship, but a professional relationship with empathy, with trust and with a connection. It'll make your working week a lot nicer, if nothing else.
And you too will eat corporate bullshit for breakfast.
Nice one, Johanna. We'll round these tips up. There's some nice frameworks in there that you've mentioned as well, so we'll go back and pull those out, Josie. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a comment on Spotify, a 5-star review anywhere else that you're listening. Please hit the follow button so you don't miss future episodes. We've got a run of guests at the moment talking about sort of sales and relationship building from marketing to sales to customer service, and how that at the end of the day helps us do more business with our customers. So we'll see you next time. Thank you, Johanna. Thanks, Josie.
Thank you.
Hey, did you enjoy this episode? Then be sure to leave us a comment, a review, and hit that follow button. See you next episode.